What's up, guys? Lord Sovereign back again for Iron Lords Podcast and lordsofgaming.net. I'm here with Steve and PJ, and we're looking at Wrestle Story from TikTok Games. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about Wrestle Story.
Yes, thank you guys for coming by the way. So Wrestle Story is a turn-based wrestling RPG. It's inspired by all the games that we loved growing up, you know, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Paper Mario series, and my love of pro wrestling. I grew up watching pro wrestling my whole life. It's a part of who I am. I love playing the game. And I was like, man, I really want a story in pro wrestling. So this game is all about living your story. You make your character, you go out and you like make your name for yourself as a wrestler, and you might get into some craziness along the way.
So tell me a little bit about how the systems work.
Yeah.
Sort of the background stuff.
Okay. We're getting right into the systems.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
I'm looking at it, and the game looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll get into the combat in a second, but
yeah,
in terms of how the game plays, what type of game?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a turn-based RPG, so we have all the trappings of a turn-based RPG. Your characters all have stats. You have different types of characters that you can spec out with skill trees. They have all unlockable movesets, gear. We can show you some of that in a sec. But basically, if you're used to games like Final Fantasy, you're gonna feel right at home, right? It's got all the systems that you're used to there, plus it's got action command-based combat, right? So similar to games like Paper Mario or South Park Stick of Truth, where you're timing out your attacks based on the attack you're doing. So for example, you're gonna see like a body slam, you hold up on the stick, and then you slam down. So we're really trying to create that connection between wrestling and like the feeling of slamming somebody with a turn-based game. So I think you're gonna see it plays pretty quickly compared to some other RPGs.
That's amazing, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you think about the combat stuff, is it always in the ring, or do you have backstage shenanigans that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Like, in terms of story, you know, wrestling is this thing that goes up and down, there's a lot of drama. Does all of that combat happen in the ring, or is it throughout the entire world that you created?
Cool, I love that question. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Our game, a fight can happen anywhere, right? You could be in like a bar and a ring will pop up around you, right? A referee will slide out of nowhere. You're like, that's our joke, the referee can just appear out of nowhere. You're like, what the heck, where'd this guy come from, right? It can happen anywhere. And as far as like the background drama, every single episode of our show, right, it's framed in an episodic way, right? So as an episode comes up, you get introduced to a new heel, right? You're gonna learn about them. They're gonna cut a promo on you. You're gonna get the opportunity to cut a promo back on them. So you're picking your dialogue options, you're kind of cutting them down. And as you build up over that episode, you're building to that inevitable big fight like you see in a wrestling match. And then we have these long-term storylines where you're taking on a bunch of heels in a row that are leading to one massive, like, super bad guy, right? So
that's amazing. Is that voice acting, or is it just text?
So all of it is text right now. So it's fully, obviously, like text with the sound effects and everything. We'll add little grunts and stuff like that. We'll talk a little bit more about potential voice acting later. Some of it might be voice acted, but yeah.
Absolutely. So tell me about what engine you guys use. I see it's a very sort of cartoonish art style, very like somewhat painterly, very smooth in terms of polygons and whatnot. So what engine you guys use?
So we're actually using Unity. We've been using Unity for a really long time as a studio. It's something we're really comfortable with. So we have a good relationship with those guys. We really like their engine.
Fantastic. Would you mind just describing exactly what PJ is doing right now?
Yeah, so right now, PJ just arrived to one of the 5 major territories in the game. The game is broken up into 5 different like wrestling hubs, right? So this one is sort of influenced by Miami a little bit. It's got kind of the Florida vibe, which is a really big wrestling hub, right? You go to other places like Neokyo, which is kind of like our stand-in for Tokyo. We have San Lucha, which is our stand-in for Mexico City. We have like our Texas stand-in. So you're gonna go to places that you recognize, but they'll have our kind of Wrestle Story spin on them a little bit.
Absolutely.
So he's coming in here, and one of our major heel factions has ruined Paradise City, right? He's taken it from Paradise City to his party city. So this is the Party King, who is the leader of the Knights of the Beer Pong Table, and they're kind of this faction of like college frat guys, right, who are just like partying in the streets, causing chaos, annoying everybody in the city. And you'll see there's kind of a reason for it as you go, but right now you're just dealing with these jerks on the street.
So you talk about factions, and different sort of groups that you can be a part of. Are you just a single player, or do you have parties?
Yeah, so the whole thing is you're building up your faction. You get to name your faction, pick like your color scheme and your vibe. Your best friend Carlo, who you grew up with as a tag team, he's a little bit reluctant about adding people into the crew, but as you go, he starts to kind of welcome people in, and they have all different kinds of abilities. Like we have Harmony, who is kind of a tank character. She plays it a little bit smarter. We have Carlo, like I said, who's kind of more of like a flamboyant rock star type of character. he hypes the crowd. He actually heals you with his hype, right? So you know in wrestling when you're like, you get that babyface fire and you're like, ah, right? Like, or like Hulk Hogan getting so he helps you to build that hype and heal your whole party.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the combat, are you just, is it one-on-one matches, or do we have tag team matches? Do you have crazy stuff like,
ladder
Hell in
matches.
a Cell ladder matches?
Yeah, so the cool thing about our game is that in wrestling, the win condition can be many things, right? It can be a pin, it can be a submission, it can be climbing up a ladder and pulling a briefcase down, right? So in our game, we touch on all that stuff. The primary mode is elimination. So you're gonna eliminate your opponents one by one with like pins. But as you go on, there's gonna be different scenarios where you're climbing up a ladder and mashing up to try to get to the thing first before the enemy gets there. And a few other unannounced matches that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when can we expect to see Wrestle Story?
Oh man, so we don't have an announced date right now, but we're working super hard on it. We're hoping to get a little bit more funding to push it over the edge, right? But right now we don't have an announced date. Basically the answer that we're giving is when it's ready, when it's fun, when you guys like it. You know, that's what we want.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love this type of take on an RPG. Thank you so much. Guys, this is Lord Sovereign again. This is Wrestle Story. This is Steve. This is DJ. This is Wrestle Story. Coming to you live from PAX East 2023, Iron Lords Podcast on lordsofgaming.net.
Yeah.